Yeah, look, it's interesting. I mean, usually when I judge juries like this, there's a lot of like really kind of passionate debate about the golds, and I'm not saying there wasn't a lot of passion in the room, but when it came to the golds, there was some daylight between the stuff that got gold and the other stuff, and from that point of view, they were kind of clearly elevated. But it's interesting the way that Tony Granger and I were talking about this on the first day of judging, and we worked together in New York about 10 years ago, and we've reconnected around this jury, and we were, it's interesting the way that this show is judged, because it's kind of, there's not a lot of debate. There's not a lot of debate around the work, and from that point of view, the numbers and the scoring becomes really a big compass for the chairman. And I actually did encourage debate, and Andrew Human and I had some interesting conversations about sort of veering off strategy. But to be honest, when it came to the golds, there really didn't need to be debate, because I looked at the scoring, and it wasn't borderline. It was there was the majority of the jury scored the work that got gold significantly higher than everything else. So that's why I got gold, and it was strong work. I think the reason why there's no Grand Prix on my jury is because, to be honest, there was no work that blew the top of our heads off. Not just mine, but the rest of the jury. For me, I've always thought of Grand Prix as something that is something you reference. So I go back to Australia, and I'm talking to my clients, I'm talking to my staff, and I'm saying, look, the thing that got Grand Prix is amazing because it changed the way that I think about something, or it changed the way that the medium was used, or in some way it invented something. And I think if you think of most of the Cannes Grand Prix or the D&AD black pencils, they're definitely in that kind of space. They inform a new way of thinking. And to be honest, not just myself, but none of the jury saw that in the work. There was some really strong craft skills, and I think that was to be expected, frankly, in this region. But yeah, in terms of innovation, we didn't see the next big thing. We didn't see a different way of looking at things. And again, that wasn't just me being cynical. That was the whole jury. So that was a surprise. I judged. I was foreman on the same jury at D&AD last year, and I saw a lot more work, that some successfully and some unsuccessfully, but it was trying to reinvent the print medium in terms of taking it and joining some dots with some other mediums, and none of us saw a whole lot of that. So that's why there isn't a Grand Prix. And the other thing, frankly, is I was surprised how much of the work that I saw was of a really strong quality, but it was work that I would expect the same insight or strategy in Australia or the UK or America. And this is such a distinct region, politically, culturally. I chaired Dubai Links a couple of years ago, which again is a very different region, but again it's a very distinct region. And a lot of the work was work that was kind of fascinating because it came out of the place. And I didn't see a huge amount of that work in my groups. I saw a lot of work that was kind of, it was kind of the stuff, it was the kind of strategy you expect. It was knives that were sharp and cars that were fast, and all that stuff that we're used to. And the irony for me was when we broke off judging, we went out as a group and we had a couple of drinks, and we talked about, I asked the guys, about the region, about what's going on, and it was a really interesting conversation, and it's obviously a really kind of fascinating time and a challenging time in the country. And I didn't see that richness of conversation in the work when we went back to the rooms. And I think there's something weird about that, because I think advertising at its best is really just about sort of, amplifying the conversations that you're having off camera, and doing something with them, around brands. And there's a really strong conversation in this country about politics, about employment, about the social infrastructure, and I didn't see a lot of that reflected in the work. I saw a lot of work that was talking about brands the way that you talk about brands in America. So I guess the two things I would say, as a sort of benign witness, is I think there's a really strong local story here, and I'm not sure it's been really leveraged in terms of the brands you've got. And I think there's maybe a little bit too much emphasis on trying to assimilate with the work that's good at Cannes or good overseas, and I think you're missing a trick. I think, you know, we saw what happened in Thailand, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, where they just went their own way and they stuck with a path, and in the end everyone followed them. So there was people in America and Australia and London, everywhere, who said, I want to use that director, I want to try and create that work because it was so distinct. And I think there's an opportunity for that here. So yeah, I think you know, I think the work was good. I think the golds are very, very good, but I do think there's a fair bit of DNA that's maybe you guys don't appreciate because you're on top of it, but when you come in like me and I've never been here before, it's really rich and it's really different, and I didn't see a lot of it in the work, so I think there's a huge opportunity there. But anyway, very happy to be here, genuinely. I've wanted to come out here for a long time. I've worked with some fairly formidable South Africans over the years, including Tony and Porky and Jan and all those guys, and they've always said come out here, and now I can see why. It's an amazing place, and then the people are incredible. So I'm genuinely appreciative of coming out here, and for what it's worth, that's my take.